First and foremost, before we get started, I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while unto his truth, and also to those elect that is scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type D lesson is Civil War is Coming. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope this will help you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, I have an article here by the People Voice. And it reads that troops to be deployed across the U.S. as Pentagon prepares for civil war. So let's get a little bit more. It says a bombshell report reveals that U.S. troops are set to deploy across the nation as the Pentagon braces for an impending civil war, with hundreds of National Guard forces positioned as quick reaction units to squash riots and civil unrest in American cities. This alarming escalation, detailed in the Washington Post on Tuesday, signals a dystopia shift where the military turns inward, preparing to enforce orders amid fears of widespread chaos. So right here, we're seeing that America is slowly becoming a militarized or a police state. Just like, these movies, Civil War, Leave the World Behind, The Purge, these things right now is coming, reality now. We're seeing right now that everywhere you look, he's constantly deploying troops, across America. Why is this man doing this? Has this man declared war on the American citizen? We already know that the devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath, and also we're not ignorant of his devices. So he's putting his plan into place before time. I think it's a deal that they did a test run. I think it was back in the early 2000s. I think it was called Jim Helms or John Helms operation. Look that up when you get around to it. It say that they were going to mobilize the military. So we already knowing that, these things are coming into place left and right. They can call martial law. They can call a lockdown. Also, it's saying that they are sending more additional troops to Washington, D.C. Why are they doing these things? Because we already know that they're getting ready to target people of color. It already started with the Northern Tribe, with the ICE Patrol. Now, the ICE Patrol alone, in collaboration with the local police and also with the military, the National Guard, also the Marines, already had started in L.A. So all these major cities, little by little, they're constantly setting things up. They setting the stage for what? Civil unrest, civil war. All hell is getting ready to break loose. That's where we're at right now. And also he constantly signing these executive orders left and right, targeting the people of color, Negroes, the Latinos, the Native Indians. You know what I'm saying? That's what we constantly warning you. Left and right. We seeing it they rolling it out right before our eye. It says here the Pentagon official have drafted preliminary plans to station 300 National Guard troops at a base in Arizona and another 300 at a base in Alabama, creating a rapid response teams capable of intervening in urban hotspots. So at a moment's notice, so as tension simmers over political divisions and economic instability, and social unrest, critics warn this move could erode civil liberties, turning the homeland into a militarized zone under the guise of security, or a police state. It says, with no clear timeline or oversight, detailed release, the deployment raises urgent questions about the true intent behind fortifying domestic forces, potentially foreshadowing a crackdown on a dissent in a deeply divided America. So if a nation is divided, it cannot stand. So we seeing that this place is deeply divided. We already knowing that right now people have a lot of mistrust when it comes to the government right now. They shall not regard the king or princes, the local military, the local law enforcement, the military, the government. So it's coming upon that time. It's getting ready to be a lawless time. People are getting ready to take the law into their own hands. That's what we coming to right now. Things are picking up. We right at the boiling point. Tensions are rising. It says here, reports. It said each would serve as a domestic civil disturbance. And it said quick reaction force. It said to quell violence during protests, riots, and other forms of civil unrest, according to Pentagon documents that the Washington Post reviewed. So that's, when you get around to look up this report, let's get this report here. It says here, the unit would be capable of deploying within an hour with Arizona troops responding to unrest in location west of the Mississippi River, and the Alabama troops to the location east of the river. So see, right now they setting this thing up. Also this goes into those FEMA zones, them 10 FEMA zones. So right now they constantly setting these things up. It's coming full tuition. You already knowing that FEMA at some point gonna get involved. Also, we know that the UN troops are gonna get involved also. So these things are constantly picking up. They constantly telling people left and right that it's just, keep, for crime, to take the homeless off the street. But the other about this is all about to put you in a chokehold, to make you a petrol slave. And also we know that that grain of rice is right around the corner. So it's going to be civil unrest, rioting, sedition among men, killing one another. A lot of these things are getting ready to go down. So let's go to this one right here. We just going to read some of these deals off this news break. Every time you look around, this man is deploying troops over here, over there, everywhere. This man is out. Also, he said he's getting ready to deploy troops to go into Mexico for the cartels. So we seeing right now that America is spreading themselves very thin. And one thing about it, we already knowing that when you go to Revelation chapter 17, they shall burn the whore. At some point, these nations are getting ready to turn on the whore, which in fact is America, Babylon the Great. It says here, Trump rules out U.S. troops patrolling Ukraine to police peace deal as he reveals. So that's one right there, talking about taking troops over there in Ukraine. Also, reports over there said that Iran, they're getting ready to attack. To attack Israel once again. So a new war, a new front. So these things are constantly picking up. The least of the flocks should draw them out. It said U.S. deploys 4,000 troops to Latin America in anti-cartel push. It's all about crime. Try to make things better. But we already know what they're trying to do. This right here, they're just slowly but surely putting you into a police state. And also, they get ready to lock down everything. And one thing about these draconian laws that get ready to come out, he's framing mischief with a law. It says here, the report said U.S. deploys 4,000 more troops to waters near Latin America in cartel fights. So, man, these things are constantly picking up. You see here, they said 4,000 additional troops. Man, we just reading off the title, that's all. But it's plenty of articles here, It said Trump refused to root. We already got that. It said here, I think that's all we're gonna get out. It said West Virginia Guard to deploy troops equipment to D.C. in support of Trump. So, hey, man, we see it right here. Hey, this man has declared goddamn a war on the citizen. And, and one thing about it, that we see it right now, this thing is coming full circle. So when you go to Revelation chapter 6, this man, he got the power to, to unalive you. And also to bring forth war. So this man get ready to use his sword in a big way. So now, let's get a quick precept before we start today's video. Let's go here first to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 25. It said, and Yahushua knew their thoughts, and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself, said it is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. So that's where we at right now, right at a breaking point, right at the boiling point. All hell is getting ready to break loose. Let's read this in the NLT. So the nation is divided, left and right. We seeing one nation rising against another. We seeing that it's civil unrest all across America in these major cities, happening while we speak. And it says here in the NLT that Yahweh knew their thoughts and replied, any kingdom divided by civil war is doomed. That's exactly what's going on, get ready to go on with America. So a town or family splintered by feuding will fall apart. So that's exactly what we're seeing right now. America is slowly falling apart. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing the end of America. You know what I'm saying? This place is circling the drain. This place is finished. Verse 26 said, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. So how shall then his kingdom stand? So how in the hell is his kingdom going to stand? We seeing what the Egyptian against the Egyptian, you know what I'm saying? Edomite against Edomite, American against America, you know. So it's getting ready to come a lawless time. You know, this place is getting ready to see its last end. You know what I'm saying? We will have healed Babylon, but she will not be healed. This place is getting ready to be filled with men's like caterpillars, you know what I'm saying, that invasion. Look up the Red Dawn, you know, with us. I think the one, I think the new one that came out with Chris Hemsworth, but the old one was good too with Patrick Swayze. So, you know, look at those things. Look at some of those movies. They putting it right in your face. So it's being revealed right before our eyes. Matthew chapter 12 and verse 26 said, in the NLT said, and if Satan is casting out Satan, say he is divided and fighting against himself. Say his own kingdom will not survive. So we see in the Republic and the Democrat going back and forth, but we already know that they're part of the same bird, you know, the same agenda. You know, we're not ignorant of Satan's device. So we're knowing right now that the citizens, they get ready to rise up. We're seeing right now that, you know, their sword and their destruction draws nigh. You know, one people shall stand up and fight against another. We'll get that in a minute. But what we're seeing right now, the civil war is right upon us. It's getting we're getting closer and closer, you know, to all hell breaking it loose. So now, let's go to today's video. And after the video, we'll start the lesson. And I hope that you will get edified.
There is no emergency that requires National Guardsmen to be deployed. He is creating a diversion for the American people to put armed soldiers on the streets.
When you start using your national army against citizens who are protesting, that's the beginning of real trouble in a country.
We don't want U.S. Armed Forces involved in domestic law enforcement, period.
Using active duty Marines for domestic protest response risks damaging their trust and politicizing a force that must remain apolitical and mission focused.
Nobody in uniform like to go out and put guns toward our own citizens.
This overreach to turn our military against Americans should send a chill down the spine of every American.
Guys, this shit's starting to give Civil War vibes. We have red states essentially sending in militarized forces into DC. We have the President of the United States threatening blue states with the same treatment. On Monday, hundreds of National Guards from red states are going to be flying into DC. Threat letters were sent to my state's governor, Oregon state's governor, I'm not sure how many other blue states. And when I am watching the lives of what is going on in outside of ICE detention facilities at these 24-hour music festivals, it is like citizen soldiers. There's like a civil war going on right now. And these festivals are breaking out all over the country. They are starting to pop up in every major city over the last week. Not planned demonstrations, active resistance. Citizen soldiers fighting back against an authoritarian regime that is increasing its pressure every single day. And it's going to get a lot crazier before it gets better.
Trump just announced that he's adding another 1,500 troops from Republican states to go into Washington, D.C. He's got National Guard troops coming in from South Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia. So not only is he already taking over the D.C. National Guard, he is now going to Republican-led states and taking National Guard from those states and bringing them into Washington, D.C. I want you guys to understand the escalation that is coming here. Him taking over D.C. National Guard is already unprecedented. But for him to bring National Guard from other states into a city for no reason whatsoever, there's no reason why he would ever need to bring in the National Guard. There is no emergency in Washington, D.C. right now. Black Americans, this is about you, and you know it. Washington, D.C. is predominantly black and brown. That's why He's calling in the troops. Get ready.
So we seeing that Jacob's trouble is getting ready to begin. We seeing we are very close to these times. They're setting the stage. You know what I'm saying? Right before our eyes. So we constantly seeing this thing. So let's go straight to the point here. Let's go here to 2nd Ezra chapter 15. So right now we already knowing that he constantly deploying troops all across America, and also we get around to look up that Jade Helm operation, and it's going into the similar things of what he's doing now. They already did the test run, so this right now is the real deal. You know what I'm saying? So this devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath. So let's go here to 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 15. Quick, let's do the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shem Shai. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 15 said, "For the sword in their destruction draws nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hand." So we already knowing that right now we seeing that the modern day sword is the gun, all sorts of weaponry and weapons, weapons that they're getting ready to use to unalive one another. So they get ready to stand up and fight. That's that civil war, that sedition. Let's get it next. It said verse 16. And so we seeing it's constantly getting closer and closer. And also that sword goes into what? Judgment. Verse 16 said, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So right here, we go into that word sedition goes into rioting, protesting, looting, uproars of the people. That's what it's going into, civil unrest, civil war. That's where we at right now. They're going to be like madmen, they're going to be like invading one another. They shall not regard their kings or princes, law enforcement, the military, each other. It's going to be just, only the strongest will survive when these things go down, So we seeing right now this man is slowly declaring war on the U.S. citizen. We seeing it with our own eyes. Verse 17 says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able because of these lockdown, because of these military lockdown, because of the military martial law, cause of this or cause of that." So they're going to come up with something or some type of false flag event or some type of a black swan event, but they're going to come with, order out of chaos, So right now, he's constantly building up his military presence because they already know they're going to crash the dollar also. And also they're going to implement that they grain of rice is coming right before our eyes. So, they're going to be checkpoints, you don't have to have the right credentials under your skin. All these things are coming into play. These facilities, they already got set up, like alligator Alcatraz, all these things they setting up, these facilities around the company, these FEMA camps, these things are already here, these chipping stations, constantly warning you. Verse 18, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." So a lot of men gonna be travailing like a woman with child when they see these things happen. People, women's gonna be getting ravaged. You know what I'm saying? People gonna be your loved ones gonna be unalived right in front of your face. A lot of things getting ready to happen. Cities gonna be on fire. This place gonna be a war zone, a third world country overnight. Verse 19, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation." So when this thing happens, you don't have nowhere, no water, no resources, no power grid, no internet, no cell phone, no medication. It's going to be a lawless time, lack of bread. People are going to be starving to death. You know what I'm saying? You know what happened back in 70 AD? They ate cannibalism. It's coming back in a big way. That's what we constantly warning you about, left and right. You know what I'm saying? Hey, there's no new thing under the sun. This devil is getting ready to roll on you. He's getting ready to fill his belly, his agenda, his plan, the NWO. It's happening right before our total control. So he keeps saying it's about crime to make America great again. But one thing about it, America would never be great again. This place is finished. So now let's go here. Let's go here to one moment. Let's go here to Psalms. No, let's go here to Luke. Let's go to Luke. Let's go in the blue letter. Luke chapter 19. Something I want to get out of here. Luke chapter 19. Luke chapter 19 and verse 43. This right here is talking about 70 AD, but we're gonna use it in a modern sense. It's cause one thing about it, this the same red devil back then is here today. He's back in the flesh again, reincarnation. But this is what the Lord said to them, that hey, this is what is gonna happen what's going to befall. You know what I'm saying? Yahweh Shah weeps over Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? He's saying, don't cry for me. Because, I think it was not too long, several years later, it happened. You know what I'm saying? Jerusalem was totally destroyed. Let's go here. So right now, right now we're in the land of our captivity, and they're getting ready to try to come down on us once again. So let's read this here. It says, Luke chapter 19 and verse 43 said, for the days shall come upon thee, that thy enemy shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee on every side. So it's talking about 70 AD, but I'm using it in a modern sense. So we're seeing that these military forces are encamping all around. Great multitude will be kindled over you. See, we seeing that left and right. They constantly setting the stage, you know what I'm saying, boxing us in left and right. And a lot of people are eating, in the house of mirth, having a great old time, being happy-go-lucky. And all hell is getting ready to break loose. Verse 44, Luke chapter 19 and verse 44, it said, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and my children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knowest not the time of thy visitation. So right now, a lot of our people right now not finna see that the enemy is getting ready to strike. But when the enemy coming like a flood, the Lord is going to lift up the standard. And we already know it's going to be a great slaughter, the two-third. The Lord is, going to hand them over to his sword, which in fact he saw Edom. But one thing about it, but when he go to putting his hands on the elect, it's going to be a different ball game. The Lord's going to lift up that standard in a way to escape. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're seeing them there. They're setting the stage for civil war, to put you in a chokehold, in a box you in, you know what I'm saying, to force you to take, what. Let's go here now to Psalm. Let's get a little bit more on that. Let's go to Psalm chapter 27. Psalm chapter 27. Psalm chapter 27. We're going to go straight to the point with this one. Psalm chapter 27 and verse 3. Just back up what I was saying. It says here, though an host should encamp against me, said, my heart shall not fear, though war shall rise against me. Said, in this will I be confident. And we're confident in who? Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. The Lord is going to be that stronghold, that shield of protection in times of trouble. So we don't have anything to worry about. We're seeing it constantly mobilizing all across America. We're seeing that they're setting the stage for civil unrest, civil war. It's all sorts of lawlessness. But one thing about it, we're gonna have what? We will be confident in who? Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. So now, let's go to our last and final script. Let's go here to Job chapter 20. Job chapter 20. And we go straight to the point, verse 23. Job chapter 20 and verse 23. Verse 22. It said, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So at some particular time, he's going to be in straits, levels of adversity. So at some point, the one that was in alliance with him going to turn against him. So that's going to happen. Right now he's in the fullness of his sufficiency, of his rulership. He's setting things up. He's setting the stage. You know what I'm saying? When you look up Project 2025, look up the Jade Helm operation. Look up Operation Lockstep. Look up the King Alfred plan. This devil been planning this for I don't know how long. Verse 23 said when he is about to fill his belly, the Almighty shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So right now he's getting ready to eat. He's setting the stage. You know what I'm saying? Thinking he got everything ready to go. But the Lord said he's gonna rain the rain the fury of his wrath upon him. You know what I'm saying? The IBCM Milson, also that blazing chariot fire from Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. So we are very close of these things. We're seeing the civil war is upon us. It is imminent, right around the corner. He's constantly bringing all these military from state to state, setting up these what you call these bases. One in Arizona, one in Alabama to take care of the east, and Arizona gonna take care of the west. So he constantly splitting it up. Remember, we get around to look up the 10 FEMA zones. So right now, this man is already planning, to set up this police state, this new world order, one world currency, one world government, one world religion, what I'm saying, one thing about it, but he's imagining a vain thing. So they're setting the stage. The stage is set. All things are ready, but we're going to constantly what? Trust and believe in Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. We are confident the Lord will deliver us. So the title of today's lesson, once again, is civil war is coming. So I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.